Hello, welcome to the show. I almost choked right at the beginning. That would have been great. Anyway, hi, how you doing? It be February 3, 2026. It's a Tuesday, and so we're going to try something we haven't done for a little while and hope this one works. Because Tuesdays are Sue's days, so I hope my sister Susan is on the line. Suze.
I am. Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. Wonderful. There she is. People been missing
Oh,
you.
God. I have to get the sock out of my mouth.
Yeah, you have felt stifled. You have felt.
I did feel stifled.
Yeah.
It's an outlet for me, you know?
I understand. I totally do. Well, okay, I'm going to let you emit then. But I have to say, just to start, and last night I happened to watch the NBC Evening News, and I was just blown away and upset that they spent literally the first 10 minutes of a show that has no more than 22 minutes of time to deal with, the end of our country, the end of the global world order. And they spent the first 10 minutes talking about Savannah Guthrie's missing mother.
They always do something like that. It's always they start like the headline news for a while now has been generally entertainment related in some way.
Yeah.
Posing as serious news, but
well,
no, I've been complaining about that too. What do you mean Minneapolis isn't the lead story? What do you mean the Epstein files aren't the lead story?
Right.
What do you mean?
Yeah. But here's the thing. We understand why, because it is a compelling story. An old woman,
well, holy hell, who came in and plucked her out of her house
it
in
is
the middle of the night?
It's so awful. And because it involves a celebrity's mom, that's why. But I just need to, and here I am talking about it off the bat, but I need to say, at a time when media need to be better than they've ever been, they are worse than they've ever been in keeping us informed of what we need to know.
Corporate media is hamstrung.
Mm-hmm.
This is when, being ruled by a corporate oligarchy ain't good.
Correct.
Because you got people like Jeff Bezos and whoever is heading, NBC, CBS, and, ABC, they are risk assessing. They're just going, how do we make the most money without getting in trouble with Trump? Yeah. That's what they're doing. And I've been sitting around trying to figure out how, when, in the new days, in the after times, if we survive this, how do we hold these people accountable? How do we do this? Because I insist there are going to be after times, and we will be in a position to hold these people accountable. How? We really need to be thinking about this. We need to go all Minneapolis on this and use our heads and figure out how to be effective. Well,
I agree. And Nuremberg comes up. There has to be a legal, because what they did was destroy the rule of law. That's what they're doing.
Right. We have to reimpose the rule of law and subject them to it.
Exactly. That's what has to be done.
And we need to do it in good, speedy time. Enough with this, the wheels of justice grind slowly.
But we
have a time to, if it's all broken, we might as well make it up better. And there are times when due process, the emphasis has to be on speedy trial. And it's not only for the person accused, it's for the community. Speedy trial. And you have to reframe in whose interest that is.
Yeah.
Or at least include all parties.
Well, the reality is historically, this country has never done what you are saying needs to be done. And I agree with you. After the Civil War, there wasn't that kind of accounting because they wanted to bring the country back together. After Nixon, there's a pardon of Nixon because Gerald Ford felt the country needed to move on. We have never, ever really done that as a country. And we've never even held, we as a country have been historically incapable of dealing with our shame of things that have shamed us, like slavery. We've never dealt with it in a, like South Africa maybe did, we just don't. And so it's not in our nature. Our nature is, all right, now let's move on. And there's also the fear that anything we do will appear then vindictive. And that if...
Well, here's the thing about that. Of course it is. And by the way, it should be.
Not vindictive. It's the law. It's the enforcement of the law.
I would like to, I would like to be vindicated and shown to be right. And in that way, yeah.
Okay. So speaking of that, so here's something.
Sorry, I'll calm down.
No. You're fine. I think the biggest subject right now is not Minneapolis. I think the biggest subject right now, and the one we need, if we're gonna keep our eye on the ball, is elections.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because there is no way we will have the reckoning you want if we do not take back the House and the Senate this November. 3 more years of Donald Trump in the presidency with a Congress incapable of functioning is the end.
Is the end.
And he knows it, which is why they are now blatantly trying to set things in place so that there will not be a fair election. The fact that he is now saying out loud that he wants to nationalize elections in 15 states, when the Constitution, a thing he's never read, flatly, there's no, you can't, even the best lawyer can't, find a loophole. The Constitution clearly states that it is the states.
Well, he's thinking he's just going to march in and do it, and then we can go to court later. That's been his game plan. And so while you're saying forget Minneapolis, I'm saying it's all a piece.
Well, of course it's all a piece, but I am saying
that in order to prevent him marching in and doing these things, we have to be openly, clearly, and noticeably mobilized as a country.
No, I agree. No, I so agree. And the good people of Minneapolis have shown us what it takes, the commitment, the courage, the refusal to say for our own comfort, physical or otherwise, to take these bastards on. But another thing that I think is of a piece with this is when they went in, what was that? Just a few days ago. One can't, time makes no sense anymore, given the way we're buffeted by these events, any one of which back in the real world would have resulted in an immediate impeachment and conviction and removal.
Jail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the FBI going in to a state's election center and removing
with the head of the CIA, by the way,
with the head. Now that's the other piece that everybody said.
Right.
What was Tulsi Gabbard doing there? Tulsi Gabbard, her purview is not domestic. It has nothing. That's FBI.
She has absolutely no authority or brief or anything.
And probably no brief for the FBI to have gone in either. But so there you have the FBI and you have Tulsi Gabbard. And now we find out Tulsi Gabbard then meets with the major FBI agents who have pulled off this heist of Georgia state records, and on her cell phone calls the president of the United States, puts him on speakerphone so he can talk to these agents and applaud them and urge them on in the fight. This has blown so many people away by it. I mean, this kind of thing, it just reeks of unbelievable corruption of intent of corruption of our elections.
Oh, yeah. And with his other hand, he's destabilizing our national security by selling, crypto and technology to the Middle East, where it'll go straight to China.
You can't even, Susan, you can't. What the corruption is so breathtaking, you can't keep up.
I know. Remember when we were upset about the emollients clause and the cute little hotel which went under all by itself?
Oh, in his first
Trump
term when he took over the post office and made it into his hotel.
Yeah.
Do you see he's trying to sell it now?
Yeah, well, it went under. I mean, it's always his. He's a terrible businessman. Oh God! And did you see that Jeannie Perot has said that anybody that brings a gun into D.C. will find themselves in jail? I mean, they can't get they're talking about briefs. They're all in. They forget on any given day what they stand for.
They stand for nothing other than their own power. It's one of the things. There's nothing undergirding them but greed and power.
Although the two loathsome Missourians,
I see,
who got thrown out of Missouri politics because they were so loathsome, and you have to be really loathsome to be thrown out of Missouri politics. I mean, think of that. So.
You're talking about what?
Ed Martin and Lewandowski, who is Kristi Noem's current paramour.
Right. And second in command. Yeah.
And I just imagine them, having, wild sex while regaling themselves with stories of their own brutality.
No, they have wild sex while shooting puppies in the head.
And shooting puppies and stuff. Yeah.
But Ed Martin, whom Susan, most people aren't focused on him. This guy was one of the large, he is beyond belief, election deniers. And then he was placed in a position to.
He's just a crook.
He's a total crook.
And he was a dirty crooks guy from Missouri who was so dirty that he got thrown out.
Even by Trump. They threw him out. They just threw him out. Threw him out of the
But
Justice
in this
Department.
case, Ed Martin's been thrown out and stripped of all of his duties, not because he's a crook, but because he didn't weaponize and follow through on enough prosecutions fast enough.
Well, because he was incompetent, because that's another part of it. He was incompetent.
They're all incompetent.
Well, by their standards, if you're incompetent, you are really incompetent.
Well, I could have told you that. I'm from Missouri, and he showed us.
Yeah. Well, okay. So listen, the other thing about Gabbard, and I want to talk about this.
I just think she's a double agent.
Well, I think a lot of people do. And now here's the thing about Gabbard. That was whispered well before his second term, that Tulsi Gabbard was literally in bed with Assad in Syria. You can't make this up. I don't know if that's true, but she was an Assad apologist, has always been a Putin apologist. And now we just find out that 8 months ago, so shortly after the beginning of this second term of Trump's, a high-placed whistleblower in the intelligence offices lodged a complaint against her, which is so incendiary, the accusation so unbelievable, and obviously credible enough that it is under lock and key. We now know it exists. They're saying they haven't been able to tell the Congress about it or the proper authorities about it because it involves so much high national security issues that they don't know how they can do it. Now, excuse me, what?
Well, then get her out of there.
Right. She's not only not out of there, that whistleblower complaint is from 8 months ago.
Yeah, right.
And now she's showing up outside of her realm of authority as the government goes in to abscond with the voting records in Georgia. And she was charged by Trump with, rather than looking for real threats to the nation coming from, anywhere, which is her job, she was charged with ferreting out governments trying to help Joe Biden or Barack Obama, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what she's been up to. That's what they're up to. And as usual, total projection, because the only incident we're really aware of governments trying to mess with our elections by helping a specific candidate is Russia with Trump. I think when we, and God help us, that day will come, when we find out the scope of what these people have been up to, it will blow us away.
No, there will not be any question about what should be done with them. But I mean, okay. I have a very difficult time, this is the equivalent. I was looking out my bedroom window earlier this morning, and I have a very high up round window in my bedroom, and it is at certain times of the year perfectly aligned with the moon. And I looked up, and there was the moon just shining in, like a very bright light on my bedroom. And I had one of those moments where you get you literally get vertigo from imagining yourself in the universe. And you know, and you terrify yourself at you know the the immensity and the absolute impossibility of understanding any of it. And it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I just don't.
I understand. I actually had something like that the other day myself, realizing how I will never understand anything. I mean, the big picture, how none of us will.
Anything,
We
right.
don't.
And that I'm just not meant to. And that
No.
I'm better just living my life small and going about doing what I know. But that's what I had to do. I had to literally, lower myself down the rope and back into the comfort of my warm bed and remind myself, just live your life. Just live your life. Take your steps. It's okay. I haven't had that feeling in a very long time, and it just sort of freaks me out.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I was up so early, and I was thinking, good. I haven't talked to my sister in this capacity in a while, and accordingly, I have allowed myself not to do a whole lot of reading. So I better start reading.
Sorry.
And here's what happened.
Yeah.
I got more done this morning. I did laundry.
Oh, you mean you didn't read
several bags? I couldn't. Every time I sat down to read something, I went, and I jumped up and I did some long procrastinated task. And
so you come to us ignorant?
That's me. That's ignorant.
Well, you're a happier person as a result, but not a good citizen.
No, but no. But, we can talk about the end of the world, or we can talk about Chapel Roan's nipple rings.
Oh, I don't want to.
Justin Bieber's boxer shorts?
No, that was nothing compared to her thing. What? I mean, it wasn't just that, her nipple, her exposure. It was that the dress was so ugly. I mean, if you're going to do that, then have what happens after your dress is hanging from your nipples be something beautiful or interesting. And it was.
And it was even, they were actually just pasties with nipple rings on them. So,
whatever. Anyway, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, aren't you lucky? This is, Grammy Award.
Back to the naked ladies at the award shows. I can't help it. And this year, go back to that. And Justin Biebs, that just cracked me up. So serious, looking at himself and singing to himself in a mirror just dramatically in his underpants and his black socks. I thought, oh, wow, what a statement.
Well, I don't understand any of it. I don't know what that. I saw somebody who said, that it was actually very moving because as a child, as a young guy in the business, he was abused by a lot of people. And that his stripping himself down like that was I don't know. They interpreted it as an act of self, taking oneself back and being able to look. What do I know? I don't understand half of what goes on in popular culture. I don't know anything anymore. I just don't. So,
well, I come to it with an open mind. I don't know. I'm sure that had deep meaning for him. He was very serious about it, but I just thought,
yeah, you didn't get it.
Just I don't know, extraordinarily self-indulgent, but okay.
Well, I don't know. And you know what? It's hardly something we need to waste our time thinking about. Here's something. If you get undone by the moon shining in your window.
My window.
Here's something I came across, and it's about what's happening right now. It's about this month the shortest month of February, the month that is 28 days long, except for every 4 years when it's 29, okay? But this February, and you can check your calendar, February will have 4 Sundays, 4 Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, 4 of every.
A full week, 4 full weeks. Wow.
And do you know how often that happens? Once every 823 years. Just saying. I'm assuming that's correct. I don't know. Oh, I saw it somewhere. If somebody else wants to figure that out. But that is a rarity. So just saying, this February is a perfect February. It seems odd that it would take that long, 823 years, for that to play out
To
again.
roll around that way, it does.
Well, I'm just saying that's what I read. So
that used to mean something. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So I hate to go there, Suze, but Epstein. So you mean you haven't been looking at any of these files that have come out?
No, I haven't been looking at the files. I've been reading about the files, but I have not looked at the files myself.
There is,
I figure if there's something in there that I should know, that it'll be in the news, and I'll read that. No, I haven't looked at the files. It's the whole thing is, and then what I hear is that they aren't really letting any of the people that we're interested in hearing about out. What they're doing is outing thousands of pictures of naked girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is what they do, by the way. Did you see that article in the Post about the retired lawyer, English by birth but American by citizenship now, and who was upset with the arrest of an Afghan that they were sending back to Afghanistan, and he looked up the lead prosecutors, just Googled the lead prosecutor and sent him an email, found his address and sent him an email and said, very mildly worried that, surely you can have some compassion. This man helped us and he used some words to suggest that what would happen to that man if he were sent. And 4 days later, he gets an email from Google that they've received a subpoena from the government to give them all of his Google accounts, and he's got 7 days to get to court and stop them. And there's no place to check this through. Nothing. He can't figure out what's going on. And anyway, he calls a head of a woman that's been associated with the ACLU for a long time, and calls her, and she goes, well, show me the copy of the subpoena. He goes, I don't have a copy of the subpoena. And she said, well, how can you appeal something you don't even have a copy of? And it takes him 5 days to find out it's an administrative subpoena, and that it is, in fact, because he sent an innocuous email to a prosecutor. And he takes a deep dive into this. Turns out Google never gave them anything, even though they were asked not to tell him and made him think they were going to give him something, but they didn't. And then people knocked on his door to ask him about this from the government with the police officer.
Well,
And this is honestly no different than when we organize to write postcards.
this is we're living in a
This is an old, white, bald, retired guy, first name John, who they just descended on for no reason.
well, because it's about intimidation, obviously.
It's about intimidating us all.
Because if he can be intimidated, then anybody's fair game. That's the way it works.
Well, that's his story, and so obviously he's not been, and he's opened this, and he's lives in Pennsylvania now. But anyway,
well,
I just, to all of us out there that think that, thank God, we can hide. We're white. We're safe, or whatever we think.
That's not true.
That doesn't protect any of us.
No,
anymore.
I mean, that's obviously not true. We're finding out what Black and brown people have known for a long time, especially Black people and Native Americans. No.
Well, who was I reading that said Black people have been, a Black man who's saying that Black people have lived in a fascist country forever? I mean, what do you think Jim Crow is?
God, I just, whatever. And so.
I'm desperately looking for good things. So if this is ripping all of our rotten flesh out in the open for everybody to see, perhaps that's good, because at least we know where to surgically cut.
Yeah. Well, let me, let me share just a few things from I just saw about the files. If they've let these files that are now out, this latest dump, one can only imagine what they're sitting on. And again, as I said before about knowing the scope of the lawlessness of this administration in the future, if we ever find out, we'll be in a state of shock and disbelief. But I think the same is true of the Epstein stuff, that I don't know that we can even comprehend what was the horrors that were going on. And the fact that the men involved are still men of such power. And it's why the survivors, understandably, are afraid to name
them.
Are afraid to name names. And I think we'll find out about the fact that people, this is my guess, that people have been murdered, including Jeffrey Epstein, to keep the lid on this, because we're talking about the most powerful man in the world.
I certainly have read that the girls were threatened, that if they told, either they would be killed and their families would be killed.
Yeah, exactly. No, that they have said. But here's just a little thing that I saw, and people are posting. There are people all over that are really just going through the files, and when they find something interesting, taking a screenshot and sharing it. And there was one that I happened to see today. Let me try to find it. That was from somebody in, here it is. This is an email. Who it's from is redacted, but it is an email to Jeffrey Epstein, sent in 2013, okay? And the subject is New York City plans. And the person writes, when we come up next month, I'm thinking about bringing redacted and redacted with us. They're up for anything. You'll love them. Response from Epstein: not a good idea. The first guy writes back, why? And Epstein writes, Trump will be there. Doesn't like black girls. Won't go within 10 feet. Now, there's a lot of things there, but one of them is the date. I mean, that is well after Trump said, he.
I don't speak to God. We barely knew him.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, that's the real deal. Okay, so there's that, and here's one more, and this one has to do with this guy Peter Attia. You know about him? He was no, he's a wellness expert. He is a doctor, yes.
No, he's actually not a doctor. He went to medical school. He never completed an internship.
Okay, calls himself a doctor, but he's a wellness expert, and he's one of the brilliant new people that Barry Weiss told in that meeting with the 60 Minutes crew that she was bringing on to be a contributor. And CBS has now rescinded that Barry's invitation to him.
Her next great idea, given that she's already single-handedly toppled a storied news organization.
Yeah. By the way, also
CBS Sunday mornings because it's too sweet.
No, I won't watch I will not watch them. But CBS, some of her other contributors, by the way, I'm just getting off track here, is a guy named Andrew Huberman. This guy is one of RFK Jr.'s buddy boys because he gives all kinds of questionable health information. And listen to this. In September, he posted, this is again, somebody Barry Weiss is going to have on 60 Minutes. He posted this: I now do pay some attention to how the shapes of people's heads relates to their intellect and steadiness or lack thereof.
Oh, great.
What is that? Phrenology? What is that? That's like
well, that's studying how many bumps you have on your head.
Uh-oh.
It's just more like eugenics, whether.
Yeah, no, I know it's a eugenic-y kind of thing.
It's a eugenic-y concept.
Listen to this. Susie Weiss, who is Barry's sister and is a co-founder of Free Press. I can't believe this because I knew these as kids. Susie, it says, wrote a defense of Huberman in 2024 after a New York Magazine investigation into his professional claims and allegedly adulterous relationships with women. Another one of Barry's people.
Wait a minute, you knew these? You knew them as kids?
Barry?
Yeah.
And Susie? Yeah. Sam and I were invited to their parents' home for Seders.
Oh, right. 2 + 2 does equal 4 every once in a while.
And here's another, and by the way, her mother is as lovely a human as you'd ever want to know. Her grandmother, a wonderful person.
No, they just much.
And she has another sister here who is wondrous. So here's another one who she's put in the pool. Mark Hyman, a physician and functional medicine proponent who has promoted extensive personal lab testing, also named a contributor. He is a longtime ally of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And Atia, or whatever his name is part of this trio. But let me tell you what got him fired then. Do you think I can find it? Because he said to Epstein, because this is one of the files, you know, the biggest problem with being friends with you, and this is in response to an email that Epstein sent to him, the subject line of which was, got a fresh shipment. Subject line, got a fresh shipment, he sends to this doctor. And the doctor, I'm doing, wrote in an email to him in response, you know, the biggest problem with being friends with you, the life you lead is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul. Now think again of, remember that thing that came.
Let's put it this way. If, as he calls himself, he is a doctor and claims to be, then he's a mandatory reporter.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So imagine, again, remember that, Trump thing that he sent to the birthday book for, remember that?
Yeah.
And with his little,
his signature as
as the pubic hair, and
her pubic hair, yeah.
And in it, I can't quite remember what it was he said, but part of what he said was exactly what this doctor is saying about the secrets they keep.
Yeah.
Do you have a drip?
No.
I'm hearing drip, 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 drip. What is that?
There is no sound here. No.
Okay. Anyone else hearing a drip? It ain't here either. I don't know. Okay. So just wanted to throw that into this depressing mix. And one, just as we're on sort of RFK Jr. and public health, the measles outbreak in South Carolina, which is of course getting no attention whatsoever, because can you imagine all the stuff we don't know now because of the flooding?
Because we have no public health system, reporting system?
Well, no, and because the media can't cover all this. When you've got what these guys are doing, these, again, impeachable offenses 5 times a day, a measles outbreak just doesn't rise to the level. You can't fit it in. But anyway, South Carolina is now battling a much larger outbreak of measles than happened in Texas, which last year, right, which got a bunch of attention and killed some kids. This one is spreading much more rapidly because it's in urban areas, unlike the Texas one. It started in October in the Spartanburg area, where measles vaccination coverage, and you have to believe it's more than measles vaccination, has fallen below levels necessary to stop transmission. In that whole,
it's at 90%. It needs to be at 96.
Well,
it just, it just does. It below 96, you don't have.
That's right. So you end up with a potential epidemic. In 16 weeks, South Carolina infections surpassed the case count over 7 months in Texas, where last year that Texas outbreak was the country's highest measles tally in 33 years. Now, listen to what RFK Jr.'s number 2, a guy named Ralph Abraham. This is a guy, number 2 at the Centers for Disease Control. Here's who's looking after our public health now. When asked about what was happening in South Carolina, he told reporters, it's the cost of doing business.
What's the cost of doing business? What business? Dead kids?
Yeah. He elucidates a little bit. He says, we have these communities that choose to be unvaccinated. That's their personal freedom. It's the cost of doing business. This guy used to be Louisiana's top health official.
Right.
Can you imagine? These guys are running our public health, and their sense of freedom, even as, freedom is disappearing in our country in real ways. Their idea of what freedom means is a person is free to endanger everybody else because they don't want to have a vaccination.
Oh, yeah, that's the same reasoning with the guns. Cost of doing business.
Here's another doctor who says we are losing decades of public health successes, and children are going to get very sick, and children are going to die from preventable diseases. These guys don't even, they want polio to be, if you want it, measles, if you want it, whooping cough, if you want it, and all of those things are going to come roaring back.
And the problem with that is that even for people that want to vaccinate, you've got to keep your child, your newborn infant,
who's too young, to get it,
and alive long enough to be able to have the vaccine.
Right. This endangers.
You can't have until you're at least a year. I can remember the total relief on my daughter's face when my youngest grandchild finally was old enough to be vaccinated, as these measles outbreaks were everywhere. It's terrifying.
They're just killing people left and right. And what's fascinating is they're killing their own supporters mostly.
Well, the thing is that, what part of what creates this, the history repeats itself part is so incredibly stupid because true, but stupid, because one of the reasons this happens is because we have generations now who have never seen any of these diseases and have decided that they are urban myths. And why should they do anything? Who's ever even seen a case? What are we, if it's a risk of autism versus something that doesn't even exist, this is obvious, right? This is obvious. And so enough people have made this decision that enough of their kids are going to die. They are going to see the diseases and the destruction that even the ones that manage to leave and are left, like Ellen Keller, for example. All of that stuff was gone. but they'll have to relearn history's lessons, and then vaccines will be all the rage. But meanwhile, cost of doing business.
That's right. I still remember.
For the life of me, I don't know. I guess it's just prestige and power, because I don't know that. What's in it for what is the cost? What is the price? What do they get from dead kids? I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't either.
You would think that would have been verboten. You know, like we were shocked that they were marketing makeup to young girls now. But no, they're just killing them. Yeah.
Suze, are you glad? Are you glad I asked you to come back on?
Yeah, I know. I think I was feeling better with a sock in my mouth.
Yeah, right.
No, I need to get this. I need to vomit this all. You know, I need to process this occasionally with all of you, because I am, you know, you can't not pay attention. And I do hope that the city of Minneapolis gets the Nobel Peace Prize. That would just frost Orange's balls. I just, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, pretty wondrous. You know, speaking of you're right that there are people who don't remember polio, but, you know, I was a young kid before the vaccines came out, and I remember the terror. I remember there was a pool, the public swimming.
Mother yanked me by the back of my shirt out of the Isabard's house, and, you know, and I said, "Why?" She said, "There's polio in there." I said, "There is." I had to.
No, there wasn't. There was polio.
I didn't think so either, but she told me that story.
I remember there was a public swimming pool that we all went to called Joanne's. It was in Joanne's Park. And, you know, as a kid, that was you had fun at Joanne's Park. And then bango, you didn't go to Joanne's Park. To go to Joanne's Park was to risk death. And I once went to a birthday party, and then someone at the party later must have gotten polio because they called all the kids' moms who were there, and mom had to take me to get what was called a GABA globulin.
The gamma globulin, that huge thing.
The needle looked like it was for a hippopotamus.
Like it had a liter worth of chicken broth in
right.
it, and was delivered via baster.
Yeah, that's what I remember. For a kid, but anyway, I didn't get it. It was terrifying. It was like a pandemic, the same kind of terror. Just
you used to sing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning," as you got those crazy things. You know, and I was busily hiding myself besides child-sized glass bottles in the drug room, hiding from everybody.
Yeah.
They found.
No, they used to have to drag you, kicking, screaming.
You didn't fool me one bit. Oh, what a beautiful morning.
Well, but what it was going to happen, you might as well just suck it up and do it. Anyway, I want to, before we run out of time here, I want to tell you how I'm looking forward to something that begins on TV tonight. And I want to thank Jonathan for reminding me that it begins tonight, PBS, 9 p.m. Henry Louis Gates, Harvard professor, at the helm. And you know him perhaps from
Finding Your Roots.
Finding Your Roots. So this is something he's taken on. It's a 4-part series. So it'll be on throughout February on Tuesday nights. maybe since Finding Your Roots is on at 8, maybe it'll be 2 full hours then of Henry Louis Gates. I don't know. But at 9, it starts. And it is called Black and Jewish America, an Interwoven History. And it is a specific history of these two peoples, these two minorities in the United States. And it is supposed to be very powerful. And I know I am really looking forward to it. He said that what made him, there were 2 things that made him always want to do this. He grew up in a relatively small town in West Virginia, which I did not know. And then his family moved later to Luke, Maryland, which I assume is another small town. And in each instance, there were next to no Black families where he was a child. So Susan, very much akin to us growing up in Green Bay with, no Jews, hardly. So he had that same childhood experience of being, the other. And he says that there were about 300 Black people in one of these towns, and there was one Jewish family. And he said they were called the Mamelins. And he said Mrs. Mamelin invited my mom over for brunch. And it was the only time that my mother was ever invited as a guest into a white person's home. That had an impact on him. Yeah. He saw Mrs. Mamelin as white, right, but he later realized it was that she was a Jew. Yeah. That was and then he said the tipping point for him about wanting to do this was Charlottesville in 2017. The Jews will not replace us, and the tiki torches and the KKK crap. And he said, because it was right there that we all saw it, that these people, these same people, they hate Blacks, but they hate Jews. And Blacks and Jews are under attack again. And we need each other to fight a common enemy. And I find this so powerful because there is growing anti-Semitism in the Black community. Yeah. And I hope, but I hope that coming from this elder, that he's able to reach people. And this starts tonight. Just so you know, PBS, guys.
Thanks for reminding me. I forgot.
Yeah. And there's one other thing he tells here. I got this from actually a Jewish magazine, Hadassah magazine, that came like about a month ago. And he also said, he was asked, do you have a favorite story about the role of Jewish women in Black Jewish relations? And he says, a woman named Esther Brown. She is my hero and my favorite anecdote in the whole series. She was a middle-class housewife in Kansas, the daughter of Jewish immigrants. And one day in 1948, her Black maid told her the school district was building a new school for white kids, while the segregated Black school was in shambles. Esther became enraged. She and the Black parents organized a chapter of the NAACP. They wrote to Thurgood Marshall, the future Supreme Court justice, over and over until he sent a lawyer to take up their case, recruiting plaintiffs, including Oliver Brown, after whom the famous Supreme Court decision, Brown v. Board of Education, was named. And that was the end of Separate but Equal, all because of Esther Brown in partnership with the Black people in her community.
Yay.
Anyway, so that's
I've always looked at the mistrust on each side between Jews and Black people with amazement, because to me we have so much in common.
Yeah.
And should be the people that understand each other more than anyone.
Exactly.
For, being hated for no other reason than we are born.
So it's why nothing freaks me out more than racist Jews. What?
Well, no, me too. When I found out there was such a thing, I was so shocked.
Yeah, well, there is.
I didn't understand it.
Oh, there is. Unbelievable. So, all right, Suze. That's
okay. Good to be back. I missed you all.
We missed you. You were missed. If you're looking at the chat at all, I don't know if you are.
Yeah, I can look. I'll go look.
A lot of people are welcoming you back. So it's all good.
Thanks all.
All right.
Nice.
So thanks, Suze.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Yeah,
Bye.
right. Bye-bye. Bye. And all right, guys, that's it. I got nothing else. But we know what we're watching tonight. I'm on PBS tonight. That's where I am. Okay. Have a good one.